Welcome everyone to my review of Archie Sonic the Hedgehog issue 20. The cover this time depicts the freedom fighters crying over a memorial statue of our hero. The implication that he's dead. I can tell you now, there will be something in this issue that will lead to the freedom fighters thinking Sonic's dead. So let's go ahead and get started to find out the details. Sonic and Sally are infiltrating Robotropolis to destroy Robotnik's new antimatter device. With it, he could turn his robots invisible, and they'd be unstoppable. Nicole picks up strong antimatter emissions nearby, and they follow them straight to the room with the machine. Sally finds it odd that no one is guarding it, and suspects a trap. Sonic, confident they can sabotage the device quickly, speeds on in, and a blast door seals them inside. It was indeed a trap. Robotnik appears on the monitor and states that he spread rumors about his antimatter device hoping to bait Sonic. In reality, Robotnik couldn't get the device to work properly. SWAT bots start filling in the room with the intention of bringing Sonic to the roboticizer. However, Sonic still has explosives on hand and plants them on the antimatter machine. He tries to spin dash through the door before the big boom, but he trips on some wires. Yeah, Sonic didn't escape the blast. It was a doozy as Sally rendezvous with the others, a little worse for wear. Remember, she was on the other side of the blast door. She tells everyone that Sonic is dead. But is he really? He is the main star after all. We return to the side of the blast, where we see Sonic's word bubble and Sonic's outline. Though the last thing is for our benefit as Sonic cannot see himself. Also, it appears he can move through solid objects, as demonstrated by the blast door falling down on him, and he didn't notice at first. He speeds back to Knothole just in time for his memorial service. They unveil his statue, which looks nothing like the one from the cover. There's a reason for this. Rotor carved it only because Tails, who's apparently an artistic genius, refused to do so. He does not believe Sonic is dead. Sonic tries vouching for his buddy, but no one can hear him, leaving him to believe he's a ghost. Sonic wanders around the forest, trying to figure out how to use his current situation to his advantage, but then comes to the conclusion that being a ghost is awful. He angrily kicks a rock, and it actually hurts him. Also, Sonic's yelling can be heard by a nearby frog. This leads to Sonic realizing he was near the antimatter device when the explosion happened, and it changed him. But now the effects are starting to wear off. He tests this theory by jumping on and scaring this poor moose. Since he's not dead, he speeds back to Knothole and finds a note left by Tails, which states the freedom fighters have gone to Robotropolis to avenge his death. Yeah, that's not a good idea, because they really don't have a plan this time. As such, Robotnik easily spots them approaching the city, interrupting his victory dance in the process. Any advantage the team has is long gone as Robotnik launches the Buzzard Bot. Lucky for them, the invisible Sonic snuck aboard. He tricks Robotnik into thinking he's a ghost by messing with the controls and saying that he's returned from beyond for revenge. Also, he tells him to leave the freedom fighters be, exercise, and get a hairpiece. Robotnik complies, and he and Snively bail, just as Sonic becomes visible again. I think we can see why the antimatter experiment was deemed a failure. After ditching the Buzzard Bot, he returns to the freedom fighters. He explains exactly what happened, and Sally wonders how long can they keep up the Sonic is a ghost thing. Apparently not long enough as Snively watches them on the monitor. Should have gone back to Knothole first, huh? Don't worry, Snively won't spill the beans to Robotnik right away, because he's enjoying seeing the Doc in an Elvis wig working out. There is a second story featuring Sally on a solo mission, but I won't review it today. Like the backup stories of issues 17 and 18, this will lead to another comic event separate from the main book, the Princess Sally miniseries. I'll take a deeper look at this story when I get to it, because the ending directly ties into those events. For now, I will say the story will introduce a character that, for better or worse, will be a major influence throughout the bulk of the series. We all know Sonic wasn't going to die. The only way to do so is to end the series and or the franchise, and that's not happening anytime soon. In fact, characters that originate from the video games are more than likely going to be exempt from death altogether. Therefore, I shall dub this little bit of protection Sega Plot Armor. It will be a recurring thing as we go along the series. Anyway, that's the spirit reminded me a lot of the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Next Phase, in which Geordi and Ensign Ro became out of phase thanks to a faulty piece of Romulan technology. That episode debuted on May 18th, 1992, and this comic came out about 3 years later. You'd think this story was written by Mike K. and Penders, given the latter is often influenced by Star Trek. But no, this is actually an Angelo story. It feels more balanced compared to Gallagher's goofiness, and the more serious direction Mike K. and Penders were moving towards at this time. Plus, there's little to no pop culture references here, though I don't know if it was Angelo or artist Dave Manick that placed the Elvis wig on Robotnik. Similar to the story with Antoine and his hot air balloon, Angelo's writing here steers closer to Sad AM while giving the characters some dignity. For instance, Sonic and Sally were lured into a trap once again, but instead of being baited with malls and free chili dogs, Robotnik used something that could have potentially turned the tide of the conflict, if it worked properly. But the dog took advantage of his failed experiment and almost got Sonic thrown into the roboticizer. Sonic only wound up out of phase because of his impatience, but he more than makes up for it by saving his friends at the end, while humiliating Robotnik in the process. And I'll give him credit for figuring out and adapting to the situation as needed. I don't blame Sally for believing Sonic died in the explosion. She didn't see what happened on the other side of the blast door, and she barely escaped with her life. Tails being the only one not to believe Sonic's dead can be chalked up to being young and his belief in Sonic's abilities, though he's not dumb enough to dismiss the possibility that Sonic might have died in the explosion, as indicated by the note. Hey, it was smart enough for Tails to leave a note for Sonic in the first place. It ultimately saved their lives. Must be the lingering side effects of the Tree of Wisdom's fruit at play. And by mere coincidence, Tails is also a game character. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? I'm giving the story an 8. It's a fun tale that takes a past sci-fi premise and does something different with it. Heck, I'd buy Sonic turning invisible due to a freak accident more than him doing it himself back in issue 7. Remember that? Boy, those were some goofier times. Things are going to get a little more serious next time, as Sonic and Tails take on a terrifying new Robotnik weapon. With that, I'll see you in issue 21. So it seems Tails is the designated team artist. I think it's another lingering side effect of the Wisdom Fruit.